And thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to join you here this afternoon. Gentlemen, what I'd like to do is invite these two entrepreneurs to introduce themselves and explain a little about what they're doing. And then we're going to dig in and ask some more detailed questions. So let's start.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yusuf Al-Hsani. I'm an industrial engineering student at Kuwait University, and I'm the founder of BAMES.com.
Hello everyone, my name is Sami Al-Isa. I'm here a student at Gust, and I'm the founder of Pistachio. It's the new social media platform.
And I'm Ben Braben. I'm head of Level 39, which is a community of about 220 fintech cybersecurity companies based in East London in the United Kingdom. So what I'm keen that we do is we spend a bit of time exploring 5 areas of growing companies, 5 of the key challenges of seed, growth and exit. Now the 5 that I'm going to highlight, and we'll go into each of them in more detail, are first of all, the process and challenges of getting customers. And we'll talk a little bit about how you find and engage with investors and capital. The third area is talent, how you recruit and retain great teams of people. And the fourth is leadership and expertise. Who do you turn to get specialist advice? And finally, we'll speak briefly about infrastructure as well. Just before we turn back to Yusuf and Sami, a little bit more about the background that I come from. So, Canary Wharf in East London is, as Yusuf said, it's home to about 40 of the world's leading financial services businesses. It's the financial district that's grown up in London in the last 30 years. And of course, big financial institutions often need innovation more than anyone else, but it's very difficult to innovate in a big institution. So we created Level 39 to bring innovators to the heart of that community. And we have now, after about 6 years, around about 1,250 people from more than 50 different countries in the world, all coming together in Level 39, which we provide a kind of co-working environment where anyone from minimum viable product right through to enterprise scale can find what they need on all 5 of those different considerations: customers, capital, talent, leadership, and infrastructure. And I should start by saying that, of course, when you've got so many big banks around you, you've also got some great big customers around you. The budgets for IT, for fintech, in the world's financial institutions are enormous. And as Microsoft put it, when you're in Level 39, you're within 5 minutes walk of 30% of the world's financial services IT budgets. So we're very fortunate with that first one, customers. So I'm going to turn now to both of our entrepreneurs just to explore getting access to customers. Just before we do that though, and with that in mind, I'd like to ask you both what it is that's really, what your offer, your proposition, your business is, and then we can turn to specifically what that means for customers and finding more customers. So
BAMES, it's an online educational platform where students can use on a daily basis. Focusing mostly first on university students. In Kuwait, we have many problems we try to solve when it comes to education. We believe that education is the first factor that will help us not achieve the goals what we want, but to move the next level when it comes to globally. So one of the problems that we had in Kuwait, or mostly in the university, is that most of the people take tuition classes and go to tutors. So it's not that a really big problem, but the cost of this problem or service is really expensive. So as students, me and my partner Badal Rashid, also a computer engineering student at Kuwait University, try to solve this problem. One of the advantages that we have when it comes to customers is that we are already students. So knowing how students think, knowing what's the wants and need for students helped us a lot. And hearing from the customers themselves gave us an advantage that how we could build that service or website. So usually when we created BAMES, we saw what's the main 4 problems that students had. It was the cost of the tuition classes, and it was the place and the time of that specific tuition class and repeating this class. So how can we solve all of these problems in one educational platform? So we created BAMES, where students can use on a daily basis by watching on online videos, asking questions, and downloading videos based on the specific subjects of the certain university that we are providing with content.
Thank you very much. And Samuel, can you tell us a little bit more about the background to Mustachio?
Okay, so Mustachio is a social media platform, and it's the only platform that allows users to post 6 things simultaneously. The 6 things are photo, video, GIF, location, text, and audio. So when you post them simultaneously in one post, what's the idea of that platform, or what's provide you? It covers all other platforms, and there is some also new features that it's not available anywhere else. So how I'm planning or how I'm gaining customers, I believe in one thing. When you build a product that's good enough and worth changing, customers by themselves will use the word of mouth type of marketing, and by that type, more customers and more users will increase and will download the app if it's worth changing, if it's good app.
Thank you very much. So word of mouth playing a key role in securing new customers. I'd like to spend a bit more time with both of you just on that question of customers. So of course, here we are in Kuwait. We have a national market opportunity, but also a regional market. I want to ask your thoughts as well, now and in the future, about global markets. So again, if we can start with you, can you just talk us through how the challenges and opportunities of finding more customers nationally, regionally, and perhaps even globally, how you plan to do that with that?
So currently in Kuwait, one of the main problems that we face really, and the main struggle to be honest, is changing the behavior of the student. So when it's come to a student to learn something new, you should change the social behavior itself. So when we chose to enter the academic courses related to the university, the problem itself was that from the beginning of the life of each student or any person, especially in Kuwait and the Gulf countries, is that they rely on tuition classes and tutors mostly when it comes to studying. So when we introduce BAMES to university students, most of them already have specific known tutors where they can go and they think that they can get easily grades and stuff like that. So the struggle was how we're going to change that social behavior. The goal I just don't want to let people study through online, but it's to introduce them of how e-learning is powerful. I myself learned iPhone development when I was 13 years old because of one of the e-learning websites. And I believe that anyone can learn anything by just going through the internet. But the e-learning importance in Kuwait and in the Gulf region is really not that strong. So when focusing on the students themselves of changing their social behavior and let them change that behavior from the current studying level to studying through online services or online other platforms, and once they study through these platforms and get like good grades through university, they themselves can believe that they can learn any skill they want. So that's one of the major goals in BAMES, that we can help to change the mindset of the student itself. So when it's come after graduating from the university itself. So basically the main problem is acquiring that customer was by changing the social behavior itself. So we gave free access for everyone in the university. We started in College of Engineering. Currently we cover most universities in Kuwait and high school. So when it comes to the Gulf countries, we're facing the same problems themselves. Why should I study online where there is a tutor who can give me everything? So, alhamdulillah, we solved this problem in the university and moved to high school. And I believe that the same problem itself when it comes to the MENA region. Globally, I think would be really easier when it comes to the social behavior itself, but the hard thing it will be is how will you get customers, because there are like really huge competitors and they have provided everything before 10 years before you. So these are the factors that I see by myself.
Thank you very much. So for the time being, perhaps a focus in this region and certainly right here in this country. Just you ask about changing people's social behaviour. Do we have any users of BAME here in the room at the moment? Well, in that case, I'd like to invite you all to consider downloading right away and taking a look. If not during the course of this conversation, then certainly afterwards. And of course, the opportunity to meet the man behind it is something we should all take after this as well. Thank you very much indeed, Yasin. So, Sami, turning now to you and to Pistachio, can you give us, I mean, we've talked about the national, the regional, and the global potential market for what you're doing. What are the challenges that you and other businesses here have with engaging with potential large market potential customers?
Okay, so when considering moving from a Kuwaiti market to an international market or global market, there is 3 points that you need to consider and keep in mind. The first one is team loyalty, the second one is identity, and the third one, in different regions, there's different people and different interests. So let's take Pistachio as an example. When I want to expand, I need to study the people interest in each and every region. So when you enter the app and you enter the trending page in Kuwait, you will see it post goes along with people interest here in Kuwait. But if you are in Spain or in America or in any region, and you enter the app and you enter the trending, you will see the post goes along with that region interest and the identity. Identity, one of the most important things, because maybe here in Kuwait I got my identity. People know me as Pistachio. But in different regions or in America or in Spain, they don't know what's Pistachio. So I must build a marketing team and to create my identity there as well, so I can have the whole world with the unique and good identity about Pistachio. And the team loyalty. When I need to open branches outside of Kuwait, or I need, for example, a project manager to be out there for the employees, that project manager basically will be me when I'm not available. So if he's not loyal enough to his work or he's not getting the job done, I can't achieve my goals throughout the year. So I think these are the main 3 things that I have to consider and put in mind and solve so I can expand internationally or global wise.
Thank you very much. In which case, let's turn now to the question of capital, how you secure investment, how you have secured it, and how you will secure it if you need to for further expansion. Again, Yasin, could we turn to you first of all and just ask both what you've done so far to fund your business and looking ahead, what you think you might do in the future?
When we started BAMES, we really wanted like a huge amount of money, because everyone in Kuwait knows how expensive it is to start a business with an application and website. You're gonna have servers, developers, web developers, iPhone developers, Android developers. I myself was an iPhone developer, and also my partner Badr was an iPhone developer. So at the beginning at the university, when we had the idea of BAMES, we used to do iPhone applications to other companies and to other people. We took the whole money and put it in BAMES, where we had 2 developers create the website. So we were testing the model itself and the business itself, and will it work or not. So after launching BAMES, we had few courses. We had 4 subjects in College of Engineering. We chose the best instructors in Kuwait who would teach these specific kinds of subjects, which was calculus, physics, and chemistry. Through the first 4 months, we have reached our break-even, and so we already had money, and we are having money from the courses itself. Today, we have more than 380 courses. Courses all created by our team. We create content, and instructors provide those contents. So basically, we never expected that amount of students would enroll in these subjects, where thousands of students enrolled monthly in BAMES, which help us to refuse other investment opportunities. one of the mentors told me that you're doing very well and you are in a survival mode. So why would you take an investment if you are still a student? Finish from university, and after that focusing on expanding your business more and more, because you still can do it. So we do have an investment that we can take, but currently we are focusing on our business itself because we can pay for everything and we are doing everything in a good way. But when it comes to expanding to other countries and other markets, of course we need the investment itself. Why do we need the investment itself? It's not about money, but it's mostly about the networking and how would we reach our goals by expanding to other universities and other curriculums.
Thank you. I think you make a very interesting point there about the role of networking in gaining access to investors who can help you with more than just the capital. And with that in mind, even though you don't need the capital at this stage, are there organizations, institutions, investors who you are getting to know because maybe one day in the future you will be seeking to?
Yeah, for sure. Nowadays, well, weekly I meet like new investors, whether it was to know from them some financially advised and stuff that would help me. And there are so many investors who ask me if you need a fund, like keep me in mind first. But yeah, I do meet lots of investors, but the purpose of meeting them and sitting with them is to know mostly about how VCs work and how is because, well, I'm not a finance student, I'm an industrial engineering student. So one of the struggles that I had that at the beginning of BAMES, we had an amazing investment opportunity, and one of the investors told me, you can take this investment, but keep in mind that you are in a stage where everyone is willing to eat you. So everyone would like to have a large portion from what you are having. So keep learning. And I have spent like the previous 1.5 years just listening to other investors, studying and knowing more about how VCs work. And now today, I exactly know what do I need and when and why.
Thank you very much. And Sammy, can you just tell us your story so far in terms of funding the business and what you, as you look much further ahead, what your thoughts are about what the future might hold when it comes to capital raising?
Before launching Pistachio, I had worked in events and I had funded some money to improve Pistachio application. And now I can manage Pistachio for 2 or 3 years ahead. And I have a business plan that I'm planning to do. So before that 2 or 3 years, I can get an income and still fund the app itself. And I have some support from my family as well. And that's how I'm getting things up. And about investors, since I launched the app recently, I didn't have any problems about investor. But the main problem that I think I may face in the near future is to differentiate between a regular investor and a smart investor. I'm looking forward to get a smart investor who is willing to invest with his money and his mind in the company.
And thank you. And with that very useful distinction between an investor and a smart investor, you want his money, well, you also want the mind. Can you tell me a little more about what your ideal investor would be like? What you would consider to make someone a smart investor?
Okay, I will tell you the difference between them. Like a regular investor, he come to you, give you the money for a percentage of the company, and he just leave. And every year, he wants his profit. But a smart investor, when he come to you and he said that I want to invest in your company, he give you the money, and as well he help you with his experience, and he try to raise you up with him, so his profit will increase. So both of you will get more profits. So that's the difference between the smart investor and the regular investor.
Fantastic, thank you very much. So we've covered briefly both routes to market and customers, and secondly, capital. Turning now briefly to the people in your teams and how you both have built the teams so far and how you expect to build them in the future, your access to talent. Can you again take us through your lessons so far and just look ahead as well?
Getting the right people is really hard. people will join the journey from the beginning, and few will leave, few will continue. It's just like a marathon. So I quit development when I was an iPhone developer, so I quit development, and my partner Badr told me that Yusuf, it's really impossible to build an iPhone application. It's a huge app. So we went to lots of we already developing applications, and we know that it's really hard. So we spoke with the guys and a few guys in Japan and Silicon Valley, and even in Kuwait. The minimum offer was 50,000 KD, and we knew that it was cheap for what we are building, and we would accept it. But Badr himself told me that, wait a minute, it's our application. Why would I let someone build the core of the application? So I'm gonna do it by myself. So you do your homework and I'll do my homework. So Badr spent 3 months working 20 hours a day, sleeping in the office, building the application. To be honest, no one ever thought that we could develop the app itself. Everything, when it comes from the iPhone application, the website, the content, it's all in-house development. So I was in that time I was in Tokyo. So Badr sent me a beta version of the website itself, and I was really amazed. He proved for everyone that once you have something to reach, you can get it. And that's when it comes to capital. We didn't spend any single KD on development because we already did everything by ourselves. So people like Badr, those people who you seek to hire, those people who you seek to give them equity so that they can work for you. So Badr hired some of the students in Kuwait University. One was an UI UX, and one was an iPhone developer who could help them, and an web developer too. So back to your question, what I really look when hire someone, I wouldn't mind to book a ticket to any destination in the world. If I saw that this person is the right person for this kind of work. I flew to Egypt, India, Turkey, just to sit with people and know what they think about BAMES and are they willing to work. Once you believe in people or people believe in your idea, you would never find someone who can believe in your idea if you even have tons of money. The spirit itself, how the commitment also itself, how the people would share the same idea. If people are sharing the same goal of what you are trying to achieve, this is the most difficult part when it comes to recruiting. People would work for money, that's right, everyone does. But even though some of the people would work because believing of this idea and how they can achieve the goal itself with you. So when it comes to recruitment, this is the pathway when it comes to development and designing stuff. But when it comes to marketing, I really like students, because students are our audience, and students themselves are the best people in marketing when it comes to education. Lots of VC told me, why do you even work with students? Why you are wasting your time paying for students or giving them a job or teaching them? When it comes to hiring someone, you should teach them, and you should pay for someone so he can teach them. And some of people think it's a waste of time. Well, I see it as an investment in that person, because this person, whether he continued working with you or left the job itself, he would never forget what you have done. And I see it as a long-term relationship, a long-term investment.
Thank you very much indeed. A really interesting explanation of the role and value of having a purpose which inspires other people there. And also, of course, for anyone in the room who's a student, an opportunity potentially to get involved with marketing the business. Thank you. And Sami, from your point of view, can you just talk us through your experience working with other people on this, and as you look ahead, your view on how and where you build your team and how you retain people in?
At the beginning, I worked with more than one company developing Pistachio app, but some other companies, their experience or their developers I'm not satisfied with it. I didn't like their job. So I changed and go to other companies. And one of the most companies that I worked with, they had 3 specific employees that was the best, and they helped develop Pistachio from the beginning. So I contacted that company and I asked them if I can get these 3 employees to work for me. And I was surprised with their answer. They agreed on it, and I took them. And that's how at the beginning I managed my team. But in the future, I'm planning on looking forward for other people and more experience. And I'm planning also to go around the world and search for the right developer who will work from his heart to that application and to believe in the application. And I also prefer to work as a family, not as a boss and employees. If we were a family, the product that we will bring out to the market will be much better, and the environment inside the company will be much better, and everybody will be friendly with each other, so we can create more.
Thank you. So, just as I think it would be fair to say, Yusuf, that you describe the importance of purpose and values. Sammy, you're also highlighting the role of the importance of a kind of family approach, something which is which brings people very much together. And once you've brought them together, of course, the challenge of keeping them together, keeping them focused on that purpose that you've shared with them. Do either of you have any tips, any advice from your experience so far on how to make sure that teams don't just come together, but then stay together and perform as well as possible?
When it comes that the team could work together, well, we have a team in Kuwait and we have a team outside of Kuwait. So basically, the main factor, as I mentioned, is believing in the idea itself. People wouldn't mind that would work lots of hours and spend all their weekends working for you without even paying them when they believe in the change or what you are doing. So if you have really something useful, if they believe that you are really changing lives or changing a mentality or doing a change in the environment itself, people will support you. And what I believe really is what connects the team together and everything and let them continue is the spirit, commitment, and how everybody treats everyone.
Okay. In my opinion, how to encourage the employees to work and just don't leave you, give them responsibility. Make them feel that they are part of the company. Like give them a task and take their advice, take their feedback. So when they feel that they are a part of it, they will give more from their heart. They will work more. They will feel that the success is for all of us, not just for the owner of the company itself. And that way, you will encourage them to work more. They will have loyalty to that company itself.
Thank you very much. Now, we've covered access to customers and capital, and also, of course, how you deal with your team. We'll touch just briefly now on the question of turning to others for expertise. So, just your thoughts on when you come across an issue you haven't come across before. Where do you go for expert advice, mentorship?
Well, to be honest, lots of issues we had, lots of them. So when it comes to mentorship, I have lots of mentors, to be honest. So when it comes to leadership, I speak with my dad. So I remember one day I spoke with my dad about I'm gonna rent an office, and I need advice from someone. I have failed in many projects, and BAMES was one of the serious projects that my dad told me that he knew that it's serious because doctors in the university had spoke with him that BAMES is doing well and we love the idea of BAMES and everything. So I wanted to rent an office and everything, so my dad told me, don't do things like that. Ask people. Take an advice from someone. So he gave me one of his friends' number. To be honest, I had hundreds of mentors, but this mentor helped me a lot through a lot. So he gave me advices in everything. Once I had a problem, everyone has a problem. Don't think that opening a business or establishing a startup would be that happy life. You will have days where you can't sleep, especially if you are a student and you're facing a problem through final exams or midterms. So the guy himself never told me no. He always helped me out. He always helped me reach other mentors. He introduced me to lots of mentors. I really can't count them. And that guy himself is the guy standing right there, Mr. Jasim Mutawwa. He never told me no. He was always helpful to every startup in Kuwait. So even friends of mine, I would tell them, don't worry about problems or anything. I know that this guy will help you out. And he really helped them. And thank you, Mr. Jasim, for introducing me to other mentors. And thank you for always help me out. It comes to mentors and education itself. Books is something that anyone can't get rid of. One of my biggest mistakes in high school that I didn't love reading, and I didn't love to educate myself that much. But I believe that you can get an advice from anyone in the world, whether it was Apple CEO or anyone, through books, podcasts, articles. You'll always find a solution.
Thank you very much indeed, and again, a great example of how the importance of your network, and perhaps the importance of one person in your network in particular. So it's great to see that you're not the only person here who has access to that fantastic leadership and mentorship. And Sammy, what's your experience?
When I have a problem, sometimes I need to think about the size of that problem, how it will affect at the beginning. And in finding solutions, there is many ways. Sometimes I Google it. The people before me, when they had that problem, what did they do? How did they solve it? And after solving it, what happened? The result is good or bad? Or sometimes I go back to books. I read the old entrepreneurs and what did they do, what their stories, and how did they solve it. And sometimes I go to my uncle Abdul Wahab. He helped me from the beginning in developing Pistachio Hub until this moment. And if I have any problem, sometimes I go to him. And in fact, also, I sat one time with Mr. Jasim Mutawwa, and he helped me a lot in Pistachio Hub, and then how to get more benefits of it and how to increase it. But the only thing that I can say in this subject, that there is no problem that it's impossible to solve. But you need to think about it, and you need to wait for it and find the solution. But of course, sometimes I do some mistakes, but I learn from them.
Fantastic, thank you very much indeed. Now, we've also got various Slido questions, and I'm going to turn to those in just a moment. So if you haven't yet put your question up, please do. Before we turn to Slido, though, just one other question, which is the extent to which you find the infrastructure that you need as you grow. So, are there any things which are potentially constraining your growth in terms of access to internet connectivity or the real estate that you need, or indeed the transport links, the connections, as you consider your growth here, both in Kuwait and potentially internationally as well? How does infrastructure work or not work for you?
Yes, we do. So as I mentioned, when it comes to creating content, we already have offices where there is studios and we shoot the courses because we really care mostly about the quality rather than quantity. So when it comes to establishing these courses, it's not just like any other e-learning website when it comes to screen recording. We care about the quality itself, where there's a physical interaction, the instructor himself do. But it's really costly. So when it comes to moving next to other countries, currently we are developing something really huge that would help every instructor where he can create courses from anywhere and any place, because we believe that education shouldn't be just accessible for students themselves, but should be accessible for students, instructor, from anywhere, any place, and any time. Also, when it comes to content, we have more than 800 gigabytes of content, reaching 1 terabyte, I guess, by next week. So when it comes to servers, and we had an issue when we had a dedicated server move next to a VPS. Then currently we're moving now to Amazon because we had the website crash. So one of the platform itself is the core of the business. So these small things that people don't care about is really important, because when a website crashes, you're really just not losing any clients but losing money. So these technical issues are really important, and having a strong platform when it comes to coding or when it comes to using servers, I guess this is one of the most important things when it comes to creating a tech startup.
Thank you very much. And Sami, from your point of view, infrastructure, is it a help or a hindrance?
Of course, sometimes it's a help. I think what I need to improve myself is the most important thing is the server and the backend development. If backend development has some bugs, it will affect the whole thing. So in my idea, I will need maybe a PR or a server. It's not renting server, but buying a server would be much better. And to have a team that will support the server 24/7. Because if the server lag or did anything, the whole application will not work in a proper way or in a correct way. And that will affect the users and their experience in the platform itself. And also how to receive emails. Sometimes when you need to get a verification code via email, it's hard because sometimes the problem is from some of the domains of the email. Their servers, they can't accept and can't send emails. But people doesn't know that information, so they put the problem on Pistachio platform itself. So if we could solve that problem, it would be a much better in improving the growth.
Fantastic, thank you. Now, in a moment, Sami, I'm just going to give you some advance warning. Several of the questions on Slido have been variants of what does the app add to the community, and do you see yourself as a major competitor to Instagram and other applications? So I'll come to you with that question, if I may, in a moment. But just before I do, Joseph, if I can ask you, do you think that what you're doing eliminates the importance of a paid college degree? One of the questions from Slido.
So we don't encourage students to go to tuition classes, and we don't encourage them even also to use BIMs, but currently 80% of students in the university, I'm talking about in Kuwait, take tuition classes. So what we're trying to solve here in Kuwait is by offering courses 70% less than competitors and more features where they can see courses anywhere, any place, with no limited access, asking questions, downloading PDF notes. So when it comes to the university itself, we encourage students that to listen to their professor and focus on the lecture itself. But here is the problem. So people in Kuwait, as I mentioned, we are trying to solve the problem where we can change the social behavior, and even in the MENA region when it comes to the education level. So our main goal is to change the education in Kuwait. So you can't reach that in a short amount of time. So it's like a stair. You take steps. So the first step is to change the social behavior of the students. Then to show the importance of how the e-learning is important, and show the people how learning is one of the most important things in the whole world. After that, you can affect the country itself by adding value to the education itself. So we really hope to reach that level one day, and I know that we will, inshallah. It's just a matter of time.
Thank you very much. And now turning to you, Sami, a couple of the questions through Slido have revolved around what the app does for the community. And you told me some very impressive things before we actually got up on stage here. I wonder if you could just explain the value add that you're seeking to create.
Okay. So when I first created Pistachio, I saw that people are facing problems in social media, but they are not noticing that they are facing it. In fact, there is a study came out showed that people spend 9 hours per day on social media on their mobile phones. And when they spend that 9 hours, they are reducing their productivity rate throughout the day. So when I developed Pistachio, I covered all the features that other platforms, and I add some of my own, and that will result instead of staying 9 hours on all platforms just to check out what happened throughout the day, I can in 2 or maximum 3 hours cover everything and add all my community in one platform instead of downloading 5 to 6 applications and memorizing 5 to 6 usernames and password. And that will result in what? I will decrease the hour usage per day for social media, and I want to increase the productivity rate of people or of users so they can get more advantage of their day.
Thank you very much. And just to take a couple more of the Slido questions, I'm going to take 2 of them together here. One of them is, what's the main factor that's made you succeed? And the next is, how do you set your goals? Maybe the 2 are related.
What is the first question, please?
The first one is, what's the main factor that's leading to your success, your personal success?
To be honest, there isn't any factor that I don't see myself as a successful person till now. A successful person is a huge word, to be honest. And to reach that, it would take us years. What helped me out is education, the community itself, the people that you stay with them daily. So that's when it's come to me personally. When it comes to BAMES, because I think the question is related to BAMES. So, when it comes to BAMES, the first factor of how BAMES is doing very well and why it's successful is the instructors themselves. Without the instructors themselves who are teaching and who are spending hours and hours shooting the courses and answering student questions, believing the idea itself behind BAMES, those are the major factor of success. And second comes students, and at the end comes BAMES team. For the goals thing, everyone has a goals. So I set up my own goals weekly, monthly, and yearly. And to achieve those goals, I know that it's very easy to plot that goals in a note, and thinking that you can reach those goals. But as I said, life is marathon. You will see people who have reached the same goal that you are seeking to reach, and people you think that they are better than you or stronger than you. But it's a marathon. At the end, you will reach your goal because you believe in that goal. When you have a vision and you know that once you reach that goal, you can do it, nothing in the world can stop you.
Thank you, Yusuf. And Sami, how does your experience compare?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, so first of all, what do you think are the key ingredients of your success so far? And also, how do you set goals to manage your performance?
I set my goals depending on the market and what the customer wants and what I want from that application. The problems that I want to solve, what I want the community to experience in the application, or what's the problems that I'm seeing and I want to stop suffering that problems. And my goals of success is to build a product that's worth switching from other platforms to my platform.
Thank you. Just 2 more questions in that case, and I'll put them both together. One of them is, what would you say to people considering becoming entrepreneurs? What would you say to encourage them? So something that's come through Slido. And related to that is, what do you wish you'd known when you started out?
So, I really advise many people to be an entrepreneur. Why is that? Because, as I said, when it comes to a social behavior, when I was born, I studied in high school to get good grades. For what? So I can get in a good university. After that, studying so hard university so you can get a good job where you are working for other people and giving them their goals. I'm not against that, of course. This is life. But when you are starting a business, always focus on what's the problem that you are solving. I had a problem which was tuition classes, and people was spending thousands of KD for tuition classes and thinking that this is the only way they can reach what they want through grades. We had the solution. So basically, I have this question a lot. So, what is the best business, or what do you think for guys like our age could be a good business? Find a problem where you face by yourself, do the solution, and you'll have the best business ever, and believe in it. The second question, I wish I had known more about the importance of time, known more about how books are really important. Because when it comes to a person that, if you are, especially in Kuwait, guys here, we would like to go out, go to Diwaniya, hang out with friends, travel. Are you willing to stay away from people, let's say for 1 year? Are you willing to stay all the nights working on a dream or working on a goal that you don't know if it's gonna work or not? So basically, you should sacrifice lots of things to get what you want, but having the vision and having the goal itself will help you out eliminate all of these stuff. The most important thing is learn. Failing is not failing. Failing is learning. I really love when I fail in something because I'm learning, and I wish that I could fail faster so I could learn faster and move faster. So learn and learn. That's my advice for anyone who would like to learn something or also open a business or to set a goal.
Thank you very much. And Sammy, how about you?
My advice for entrepreneurship or who's planning on opening a business, always think about it in a positive way. Like I will tell you the secret recipe. Always think that it's a win-win situation. Either you succeed in your business and you become someone different and you gain income, or you fail, but you will learn from your experience. So in both ways you are winning and you are getting something through your journey. And the things that I wish that I had known before I started developing Pistachio 2 years ago, I wish that if I had known more background information about the IT and about coding and about servers and about the cost of developing an application and the process. So when I go to companies and I tell them my idea, I can figure out if their price is overpriced or that's the average price, or the timing that they give to me, it's a good timing, or they take too long with some features. And through these questions and these things, I can figure out if their developers is good enough or is qualified to build an app that how I want it and a good quality or not.
Thank you very much. Thank you both very much. Now, I'm going to ask you both one final question in just a moment. So I'm going to give you a moment to think about that question. So I'm a guest here in Kuwait. It's a great honor and privilege to be here, to have come here from the United Kingdom. I wonder if I could ask you both what you think the rest of the world should know about entrepreneurship in Kuwait. So while you think about that, I'm just going to borrow a moment to sum up a little bit and bring together some of the lessons that you've kindly shared with us. So what I've learned as I've listened is that perhaps I'm going to reverse some of these. They come around in a slightly different order. But it starts off with focusing on a problem that you know well. Positivity clearly plays a really important part, and so does having the right network and using that network to learn from other people and also to be introduced to other people who can help you with customers, but also with expertise and sometimes with capital too. When it comes to leading your team, delegate responsibility is a message which came across very strongly. And perhaps to sum it all up, learning. And of course, we have a fantastic e-learning opportunity just to underline that as well. So if you haven't already, I'd encourage everybody here to take a look, both at Bain and at Pistachio. And if you're keen to follow up either as a consumer or if you're inspired by either of the examples we've heard, then please do. So with that in mind, if I could just turn to you both and ask, as people like me go back to places like London, what should we be telling the rest of the people we meet around the world about entrepreneurship here in Kuwait?
To be honest, I have visited many tech hubs where there are the big guys and big companies there, and sat with many founders in Silicon Valley where they have brilliant apps and everything. But I believe, and I know that in Kuwait, we really have smart guys and ambitious guys who can really prove to the world that they can change and reach anything they want. We have really amazing ideas. We have really great guys who can really change the world. But so the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem in Kuwait is really getting really better and it's growing. So I believe through the upcoming years, people will really know how the importance of startups in Kuwait and how would they change the world. Because I believe that there are applications in Kuwait, if they had the opportunity to compete with other applications, whether it was in any place in the world, they would succeed.
So thank you very much indeed. And Sammy, what do you say to the rest of the world?
I think entrepreneurship here in Kuwait, it's easy and hard for two different reasons. It's easy because Kuwait is a small country, so everything can go and travel through the country and people can know about your business or your product in 1 or 2 days. But it's hard because here people in Kuwait, when they are used to something, they feel loyal to it. So it's hard to convince them to leave the old product or the old business that they are used to it and come and use the new thing that you built and your product. That's the hard part in Kuwait. But if you build something that's good enough, they will come by themselves.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was very inspiring. I enjoyed your spirit. It's been very fruitful. I know a lot of the lessons you went through comes out of your heart. This is the things that will be very much what is needed. Sharing your experience, uplifting the hope, and making possibilities happen is a gift, and both of you have it. So congratulations, and thank you for giving us this part of your thoughts and your heart. The next session is going to be an interesting session. We're having some guests joining us virtually through Skype. Gentlemen, if you can connect the Skype here. And we have Mazied also joining me on stage.